the debate that we will have. Diego Gangafano already gave us many ideas. Let's say this GI action plan he gave us a news. So mid-May, the new regulation will be in place, and an idea is the GI action plan that is interesting, and I would like to discuss with Ann Sander, MEP and Shadow Rapporteur for the GI revision, Irène Tolleret, MEP and Shadow Rapporteur for the GI revision for the European Parliament, Sébastien Breton, Member of Origin EU and General Delegate of the Conseil National des Appellations d'Origine Laitières, CNAOL, Federico Moncunill, Member of Origin EU and Secretary General of the Regulatory Council of the PGI Jijona and the PGI Turrón de Alicante, Alessio Mammi, Regional Minister for Agriculture of Emilia-Romagna, and Katerina Zografu, Vice Governor of Central Macedonia region. So, I will start from the future. That's a bit that's beginning from the future. It's a bit strange, but the future of EU GI policy. This is a question that I asked myself in the middle of the past legislature. Can we expect GIs continue to benefit from strong support from the EU? I would ask that to Madame Sander, Madame Tolleret, and then Alessio Mammi and Federico Moncunill. Sorry. May I ask to keep the 3 minutes, to try to answer in 3 minutes. So, future of GI policy, can we expect GIs continue to benefit from strong support from the EU?
Bonjour à tous. Je voulais d'abord vous dire mon...
Hello everyone. First of all, I wanted to tell you how happy I am to be here with you this afternoon to talk about productions which made the pride and the strength of our European territories. First of all, I believe we can say that geographical indications are a true success. So far, there are more than 3,000 in the whole of the EU, and they are a source of added value for our territories. We talk about more than 55 billion euros. What is the future of geographical indication? Well, I don't have a crystal ball. We shall see what the future mandate will be like. But what I would say is that we have to go even further on the promotion side of GIs, because they play a key part in our territories. The European Commission talked earlier, mentioned a potential action plan for GIs. Well, I would say on the top of my mind that yes, I clap with both my hands, but it depends, of course, of what will be in the action plan, and this action plan will need to be going in the right direction, of course, with no bad surprise with restrictions, discriminations. But yes, of course, we do need, and the microphone just was turned off. So we need to value them, whatever that was. And this is hopefully what is going to happen over the in the next mandate. But I believe that there is quasi-unanimity. The question might be that, between us in the European Parliament, within the Commission or with the Member States, should we put all GIs at the same level? Are we going to continue to defend and to promote GI for meat or for wine, or are we going to use a discrimination? And I am clear on this. We need an action plan for all GIs.
The promotion policy is something we will touch upon after that, but thanks for having introduced the topic. Irène Tolleret, same questions.
Merci beaucoup à tous de m'accueillir.
Thank you very much, everyone, for welcoming me here. It's a pleasure for me to work on geographical indications. We have a culture, common European heritage through those very nice products we eat or drink. On the question, yes, I am convinced that, yes, it is a necessity that geographical indication products be highlighted a lot for the good of the EU for several reasons. There are an economic benefit to it, of course, undeniably, so we should take advantage of it. We have products on which are good for our economy, for our international image, so of course it should be spearheading everything EU does. It also represents, in our motto, United in Diversity, GIs represent a common cultural heritage. In the word agriculture, there is culture, the word culture. When men developed their habitats, they used local ecosystems to optimize their cultural output, and step by step it created goat cheeses, for example, which have a very specific taste thanks to chestnut leaves eaten by the animals. And there is a whole diversity of wine names and hams names and so forth. So this is a great diversity, and in this very moment what we need dearly is to unite ourselves around those products which are full of identity. Geographical indication have always been supported by the EU. This is a well-performing policy, so I don't see why we should dwindle such a performing policy. We have a good leverage, we have good output, so we'd rather invest €1 on a policy which has good results than on policies which will not address issues. So I believe that the common working together is very important. We should not reduce the pace, and we have clear studies showing that touristic choices in rural areas are often connected with discovering a food heritage thanks to promotion at the EU level. And I would like to conclude in this very moment by hammering out something important: trade. Geographical indication use trade deals of the EU, benefit from them, so of course we have to address the weaknesses in some sectors, but we need to keep reaping the benefits with, for example, the deal with the US or Canada and others. We need to protect our GIs through trade agreements to use their fame in the world and to make it increasingly important. And in conclusion, we see that consumers all over the world are increasingly curious about the origin of the products, and this is exactly what GIs are. So I am in favor of GIs, and notably a regulation on GIs which would touch upon issues such as trade and these kind of things in the EU, so that we can reap all benefits of this fantastic thing, GIs.
Comment from a representative of the region, so Alessio Mammi, and the GI producer Federico Moncunill. How much is the EU policy important for the GIs, for your territories and for your products?
Buenos días.
Good afternoon. I
come here representing Origin EU. We are more than 90 DPOs and GIs, and I come with José Antonio Pavón from the Jabugo Ham. He comes from the Executive Committee of Origin Spain. I wanted to reference the new regulation saying the following. We are happy for the new online definition, something that has gained popularity in the last years, and finally we see a regulation. The GIs will be able to defend their rights to fight against fraud and disloyal practices. This is a great step forward, but I want to mention the following. The Commission should give WIPO the task of controlling these names, because this will allow us to be more effective to fight against fraud when it comes to names of these products. It is important to be able to denounce platforms that do not respect the regulation through these litigation processes, together with the member state where the GI is registered. And we are all aware of the fact that companies that authorize these names are in third states or third countries, and if so, we will have to negotiate to be able to create different agreements for our European GIs.
Grazie. Fa molto piacere essere qui. L'Emilia-Romagna è la regione.
Thank you. Our region has the highest number of GIs. We have 44 of them, and we are about to reach 45. So we know the economic, social, environmental, and cultural value of those products. As far as I'm concerned, I'm convinced that the EU, as it decided years ago to draft the regulation on GI, has made history, giving a great landmark at the global level. It is a fundamental principle to state that food is not just about survival, about food supply is not limited to a mere food heritage. It is also a cultural heritage. So this idea has now spread, the idea that food, everything we eat and drink, is not just for survival, it is also good for development, for the environment, for human development, broadly speaking. And based on this concept, the EU has promoted this regulation, and its review is a good thing. Thank you to all those who contributed to it. And now we will have new instruments to work in this area. When it comes to GI, PDO and PGI products, of course we talk about economic value. In our region it's 3 billion euros, but it's also a huge social heritage. For example, Parmigiano Reggiano, we have here the president of this consortium, which I pay tribute to and I'm grateful to. Through this, we keep alive production, people, inhabitants, and we make sure that people stay in our region. We keep remote and rural areas alive. The microphone is now off, unfortunately. Now it's on again. Thank you. So, as institutions, our duty is to work on the enhancement of excellence, of those products already world famous. We must protect them and fight imitations, and this new regulation will make that even more possible. The first question which was asked, is the EU going to invest in the future, continue investing in the future on GIs? Well, I believe that without this protection, without this regulation, it is a key pillar of the EU which would crumble down. So we need to promote GIs and promote them worldwide and promote new GIs as well. The European model of GIs could be also an inspiration for other continents, because Europe has come a long way in this area. When we went to Japan and to the United States, people there were fascinated by the GI regulation of the EU, and they were surprised to see how many years it took us to reach such a level of recognition for geographical indications. So this is an investment in agriculture, in food, and when it comes to my region, Emilia-Romagna, for the years to come, I hope that the EU will keep investing in this area by enhancing available resources. This is a matter of future and not only a matter for the present. Thank you.
Yes, Assessore Mammi. I would stay on the territories and the producers, because yes, we have a new regulation from mid-May, but let's say the legislative pressure comes also from other regulations on the GIs. So I would ask first to Katerina Zografu and then to Sébastien Breton and then Irène Tolleret and Anne Sanders, how to preserve the specificities of GIs, not only in that regulation but also in the CAP and other legislation, such as the food labeling, for instance, the front-of-pack nutritional labeling, the so-called Nutri-Score. So first Katerina Zografu, then Sébastien Breton, Irène Tolleret, Anne Sanders, 3 minutes each, please.
Thank you. Από το 1992, όπου
From 1992, when we had the first regulation of GI protection until today, the European Commission has been using GIs as a policy instrument for the development of rural areas. There is no doubt that GIs are extremely important when it comes to economic development, when it comes to regional development, but also to the whole social activity of a region, of the rural areas. In particular, the areas that are isolated in the mountains. We spoke about these areas earlier. We lost the microphone of the speaker. Therefore, through these policies of protection and preservation of GIs, products that have specific characteristics, either because of the geographic area they come from or because of the traditional methods that are used in their production, as well as the know-how, but also the cultural elements, because like we said before, it is cultural heritage, these GIs. So the European Commission needs to take into consideration all these elements in their policies when it comes to different policies, especially within the new CAP. So cohesion and complementary policies of the European Commission in order to be able to preserve these products and at the same time to give added value to the territories in which they are produced through the touristic promotion, while at the same time respond to the current challenges that we're facing, to create new jobs for example, new economic activities try to prevent migration towards urban centers. Try to renew rural population. In one word, try to improve the quality of life of the people who live in the European rural areas. Let's not forget that products like that, GIs, are highly acknowledged. Let's think of the Mediterranean diet. At the same time, they direct the consumer towards a healthier lifestyle, a healthier nutrition. There's still a gap we need to bridge when it comes to acknowledging these products from the part of the consumers. This is why I think packaging and labels on these products, where we mention their characteristics in an evident way that the consumer will be able to read, are all important elements, so that the consumer themselves will be able to be more educated, make more educated decisions.
Sébastien Breton.
Oui. Bonjour à tous. Je suis déjà...
Hello everyone, it's a pleasure for me to express the point of view of producers on this topic, and I would like to thank once again MEPs and the Commission for all their efforts on the GI regulation, which took into account this diversity. And right now, Mrs. Zografu talked about the important aspect, cultural aspect, which is intrinsic to the European context, and this is indeed food heritage and food culture. And there is a whole cultural dimension. And when we talk about the specificities of GI, it is through the common agricultural policy that we have to make sure that we have dedicated tools dedicated to GIs, which show the importance to regulate healthy markets in terms of products. And in terms of the generic regulation, there are two things to be kept in mind. We will soon have a regulation on consumer information. Some countries have also requested more nutrition information for consumers, and we are not against it, of course, but obviously our GI products who bear this cultural value and this diversity are only interesting for consumers because they are rich, they have specific features, and not only the score in terms of food value. We want to protect our GIs and to keep our initial recipes, so we should be exempted from nutrition scores, because GIs should not be dealt with like any other product. What would be the camembert cheese from Normandy without its wooden box? And the same can be said about the specific features of the Gorgonzola cheese, for example. So we are ready to collaborate in this generic legislation or regulation, but we should make sure to preserve the specific features of those products which make us proud.
Packaging, nutritional labels, and the CAP. How to preserve the specificity of GIs in these three domains.
Merci beaucoup pour cette question. Thank you for this question. Of course, GIs should have a special treatment in the different legal framework, and it is already the case on the last reform on the Common Organization for the Markets. This has been extended to all markets, the possibility to ask for exemption in case of crisis, and we simplified all the procedures for the different markets. We have also added a different exception for the obligation of minimization, and on the nutritional packaging, GIs will benefit from exemptions. There is a favorable opinion from the European Parliament, all the exemptions and preferential treatment should encourage all producers to adhere to these labels, and this could contribute to improve the image of the agri-food system in Europe. Thank you.
Merci. Alors, je ne vais pas être très...
Thank you. I will not be so original, but I would like to insist on two things. There is the CAP, and there are also the other legal frameworks. And it is true that on the PAC, we could do an interesting work, because myself, I was a rapporteur on the text on the OCM for the PPE group, and we succeed in maintaining GI specificities and to improve them. We extended what was working well, and at the beginning of the negotiations, it was not easy. I remember the first meetings when I took back this file. It's true that on the management of the offer, we had to show what was working well in order to extend that to other industries on the producers group. So regarding the CAP, I don't have worries, but we need to be cautious on all the regulations, horizontal regulations that can have an impact on GIs. And it's true, you said that the issue of packaging was a very, very difficult point. We spoke a lot about the camembert box, and it's emblematic of all these productions for which we need to keep a specific status and for which we need to have exemptions. Typically, for the text on packaging at the European Parliament Agri Commission, it's a good proposal. Today we have a text, a final text, with uncertainties. GIs are exempted if the packaging was already registered. We need to follow that closely, because all GIs won't be taken into account, even if we have exemptions for the camembert or the morbier. And then we also have the text on the Nutri-Score. There was a lot of warnings. Hopefully the text has been delayed, but this text will come back one day, and so we will need to follow it closely. The text on the animal well-being, that could have an impact. I am thinking about the Conte sector. We really need to pay attention to all these legal texts, because it is an opportunity for GIs. And we need to bear that in mind. Thank you, Anne Sanders.
Producers, because the new regulation allows to enhance the communication on sustainability. But so I would like to understand, what are the GI producers doing and the GI regions doing to improve sustainability in the production process, and how can the new regulation help on that, and how to be prepared to climate change? This is another thing that, you know, GIs are always characterized also by certain pedoclimatic conditions, soil condition, climatic conditions. So what happens when the climate changes? What are the countermeasures that the producers and the regions are taking? Thanks. 3 minutes to Alessio, Mammi and Sébastien Breton.
Il concetto e il valore della sostenibilità, naturalmente, nel nuovo regolamento dell'EG viene presentato in modo completo, e che naturalmente mi trova d'accordo prima l'esponente.
So I agree with the representative of the Commissioner. Sustainability is very, very important. So sustainability at 3 levels. The region of Emilia-Romagna is investing a lot in these 3 categories, plus 45% of resources in Emilia-Romagna. And so we are investing in quality products, so the implementation of specific agriculture, the use of water resources in a sustainable manner. So we have improved also the well-being of animals. So many resources are invested in order to improve breedings, to be modernized, to respect animal well-being, and we also need to think about organic products, integrated production. The Emilia-Romagna has paid attention to the environment and has kept all the soil nutrients. So today, the Emilia-Romagna has a lot of organic products, and we also have all the regional mountain zones, areas that are not grabbing the whole value. It's important to keep the population in mountain area. That's why we encourage young couple to set in a mountain area. We really want also to create jobs in these areas. We are helped by the region, but we also have European resources that we invest thanks to rural development plans. 20% of the agricultural surface is in mountain areas in Emilia-Romagna. So we are investing with resources. We are also working in order to fight illegal work, and there is also a network of companies fighting all the problems relating to work, and all this is done thanks to the resources we received.
Sur la question de la durabilité, il y a d'abord une première dimension pas oublier.
So there is a first dimension we shouldn't forget, and Mr. Minister from the Emilia-Romagna region said it, how to manage the time. If we have IGIs, it's also to ensure the consumers to have a product that will stay the same on the long term. And it's also a promise for the producers to be able to continue to live in their territories from the products. And we know that with climate change, this will be difficult. So we need to ensure sustainability, we need to change, we need to adapt. And that's why we need the means, the resources from Europe, from the territorial collectivities, and the text that has been proposed, and Mr. Congafano said it, the way of easing the specifications, the production specifications will ease all the things, because when we have our cows going out in May and coming back inside in October, then it will be easier, because we will need to adapt all these practices, and we need to have a dynamic vision of all these specifications. The second point I want to raise is the possibility to integrate the principle of sustainability in the specification. It's an opportunity for us producers to show the consumers the commitments we are taking in terms of sustainability, in terms of environment. In France, we have some AOPs that are thinking, PDOs that are thinking to continue to transmit, to train people. So we are speaking about the social part, and also the sharing of value, how to limit production in order to ensure that we have stakeholders that are going to have a shared added value on how to guarantee that some systems are still working, for instance, for water, to retain water for animals, but also allowing to fight erosion and climate change. So these commitments, we have concrete examples of organisms that are taking measures in order to fight climate change.
Another new element in the GI regulation is the protection online. I would like to ask Federico Moncunill what are the expectations of GI producers on that aspect? Is this going to improve the online protection in your view?
Bueno, me he referido antes a esta cuestión. Lógicamente es un...
Well, I talked about this before. It's a step forward, that's for sure. Let's see if we can defend ourselves from practices from third countries. And as for what André Breton said, he was talking about ways of explaining the consumer, such as, for example, Nutri-Score. We are in favor of transparency and health practices in nutrition. But I want to say that Nutri-Score is not a perfect system. It's true that from an educational point of view, it is very clear because it's red, yellow, green, but the algorithm is not perfect because it doesn't take into account proteins, for example. I'm going to put two examples. For example, light or zero Coke is green, which is healthy, and olive oil is red, which is unhealthy, and that doesn't make any sense. This system isn't managed by anyone. For example, as with Turrón de Jijona, which is an IG, we see that a company said that they asked this to be classified as C, another one classified as D, and the other one as E. Nobody could control this classification. Why? Because the Nutri-Score system is a private system. So if we want to educate the consumer, if we want to help the consumer, we need to look for efficient tools. Just to conclude, I wanted to say that this new regulation is helping more the valorization of the producers. Each one of our regulatory councils can be informed and can be part of any decision made in relation to EU policies in the field of IG. So I wanted to conclude with that comment. Thank you.
Let's stay on the producers group that you have just mentioned. So the new regulation strengthens the producers group, but how to make them more recognized? What new roles and powers are given by the new regulation to the GI producers group? Is this something that the regions and the producers are satisfied with? Alessio, Mammi, and Federico Moncunill.
Sì, io credo che l'Emilia-Romagna è la regione italiana che ha...
So Emilia-Romagna is the region in Italy who has the most producer organizations. So there is an impetus for us to meet and to work all together. It is an important added value because in our region there are a lot of producers, and GIs are showing that there are some production systems that are consolidated, and these systems are regrouping the initial producer, the transformer, and the sellers, the resellers. And so we believe in this idea, and so this idea to regroup all people, and that's why we really wanted to underline the PDOs. So if we all work together, we will all be able to work all together and be more strong.
Federico, Moncunill, what is your point of view on that?
Bueno, hubo una polémica.
Well, it was controversial when it was being negotiated in the trialogue, the fact of acknowledging the Producers' Association. We know that the EU has 27 member states, and this represents different interests, different experiences, and at some point it was clear that we needed to respect all those models which had been working for a long time, such as, for example, the regulatory councils in France, in Portugal, in Italy, in Spain. We needed to respect that variety. We had to acknowledge the good work of those entities. And the fact that this association had the rights. So all I wanted to say is that if a model has been working successfully for a long time, should be used to teach other countries which want to learn, which want to grow in this sense. One of the colleagues said that the GI's model is an example for the rest of the world, and I think the Commission did a very good work with different tools, showing different tools in America and Africa. So we are seeing that our model is being copied. We see this in China, for example. This shows us that our model is working for our territory. And as for the producers' associations, are also a very effective tool. So that's very clear.
So this is another thing that is. So everyone was expecting a regulation on promotion of agri-food products in this in the legislature that is going to finish very soon. Nothing arrived. And then one also thinks of the budget for promotion that our competitors at the global level, I think of the US, for instance, put on the table for their producers. So this is on the promotion of GIs, actually. If they are a flagship product, they deserve a specific treatment, maybe. And then we learned that the first thing that was cut from the only agricultural expenditure that was cut from in the review of the budget was some centrally managed programs, i.e. promotion programs. So my question is the reduction of the EU budget for the promotion of agricultural products unavoidable in a sense? At the very beginning, Ann Sanders mentioned this possible discrimination between products, and how the promotion policy can help more PDO and PGIs. I will start from Katerina, Zografu, Sébastien Breton, Irène Tolleret, Ann Sanders.
Τα κονδύλια
the financing that is directed from the European Commission towards promotion, not only for GIs, but in particular for GIs. So this financing has multiple directions. First of all, to protect GIs, to preserve GIs, to support the financial impact they have in the whole territory, and at the same time to raise awareness for the consumer, within the European Union, but also in third countries for these GIs. Expectations of consumers have increased as well because consumers want products that they can trace where they come from, that they're sustainable and healthy. GIs are products that respond to these demands of the consumers, given that the information reaches the consumer. According to research, we still have a long way to get there until we're able to say that consumers recognize even the logo of a GI product. Consequently, we really think that we need to maintain financing of promoting GI products and maintain the register of these products in our countries, in our member states, so that the producers will be able to benefit from the financing. Additionally, also compared to the producer groups and the programs for GI producers, we see that we need to simplify procedures in order to be able to realize even smaller scale projects and invite small producers who cannot afford to participate in these programs for now, either because of the bureaucracy that they have to deal with, or even because they have no resources to finance their own projects. We need to be able to support small GI producers throughout the whole process of production to help them, give them guidelines, help them apply all regulations in order for them to be able to participate to these programs. Thank you.
Je pense sur la promotion, et je pense qu'on l'a vu sur les...
On the promotion, and we've seen that from the first interventions, the system around geographical indications is a specificity of the European Union that is not costing a lot to the Commission. And the only thing at stake from the point of view of the investment is the promotion of these products. So we've seen during these last years that the budgets have shrinked, maybe for good reasons, but it's not the topic. But what I can say is that there is no one group that could benefit that was not satisfied of these projects, being it in the recognition of the logo or in the improvement of sales or about the recognition of the product. I will take one example explaining the effort we have deployed for PDO for dairy products. We switched from a 90% recognition rate to 65% in 2024 in France. So this is a huge effort on communication. So if it works, it is working well. So the producers will be satisfied as well as the consumers. And so we really want to push the Commission to deploy joint means, because we are working in a collective system. This is a huge advantage to invest in these communication tools for these products.
Je suis complètement d'accord.
Yes, I couldn't agree more. And I would like to add some specific points that have not been underlined. So since we had a limited budget, we were tempted to take this budget to invest in organic campaigns. But I think we need two different budgets. One budget dedicated to geographical indication with the European know-how, the link, local link, and another budget dedicated to organic product. This is something completely different. We know that organic products are mainly imported. So if I spend €1 for the more importations, we also need to invest this budget for the local products. So geographical indications are here, and we really need to take a budget for investing. I am coming from the Occitanie region, and we are always winning at rugby, so we will win this time again. So as far as the resources are concerned, we have a budget for organic product that hasn't been used. So we should have two different budgets. As it has been said, it is a budget that is efficient. We also need to receive a budget from the Commission, because it's important to have a promotion policy underlining the geographical indications, but we also need to help ourselves. Do you have an internet website? Are you present on social media? So we need to use the communication tools we have that are existing to help ourselves. So before, I used to explain to a small GI that the advertisement was very, very important. So we need to take ownership of this, and we need to share information on all social media. And the Commission is doing a lot of communication campaigns, and sometimes we are not aware of that. So it could be interesting to inform all the producers that some campaigns are being deployed, because today, if we compare ourselves, we have a very small budget. We have 187 million euros, and they have billions of dollars in communication. So we don't have the same tools. That's why we need to be smarter. We need to work all together. So it is a good policy of the European Union. We need to improve it, and we need to work on the content when we talk about the social and environmental responsibility. In the world, we have carbon scores. We have the PDO logo. That's important for us to communicate on this logo, because there are some specifications that have changed. And so we need to work also on the RSC, and we have huge communication tools, and that's why we also need to work on the promotion, allowing small producers to have more visibility, and they also need to have modern tools, and the 100% of the budget should be spent efficiently. And I'm sorry, but the microphone is off, and we can't hear anymore. Thank you.
S'il vous plaît.
Oui, merci. Alors, effectivement, cette politique de...
Thank you. This promotion policy is key, and when I say promotion, I mean on the one hand products, on the other hand budget and actions. When it comes to the budget first, the sinews of war, and this is exactly where we have to work hard on the budget. Each year, as you are aware, the European Commission asks the agricultural sector to provide the priorities. Over the last promotion policies of products, it was very difficult to keep red meat and alcoholic beverages in this policy, and in my opinion we must keep mobilized, and this leads me to my second point. As I've said earlier when I took the floor, there should not be any discrimination, because those production are first of all a reflection of our territories. They are produced in good conditions, so we should also be able to highlight their sustainability, because we are talking here about sustainable productions, and these are also productions close to territories. So they protect agriculture, they add value to the territory, so I believe that things could be done in proximity promotion. And now I turn to local authorities. I know it's difficult because local authorities in France, for example, regions manage the refurbishment of school buildings, and this is with limited budgets, of course, but I know also that, at least this is the case in my region in the east, discussions are ongoing on how we could improve food provision in institutional food services in schools, for example. So we could think of public procurement, for example, and working on the rules over public procurement. And then when it comes to the budget, we have announced a potential reduction of promotion budget. This is something we heard from the Commission, for example, because we are supposed to increase our support to Ukraine. I don't believe that there is any opposition. We want to keep supporting Ukraine, yes, but also at the same time we want to keep supporting our productions. We have many labels, as has been said. Over the 10 years, we had increasing visibility in France. 65% of consumers recognize PDOs, and this is notably thanks to promotion policy. I believe we must keep going in the same direction.
It's a wrap. There will be time for questions in the coffee break, so thanks to Anne Sander, Irène Tolleret, Sébastien Breton, Federico Moncunill, Alessio Mammi and Katerina Zografu, that I invite to take a seat in the audience before the coffee